Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma is so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a Chemo Buddy for life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are Chemo Buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Good morning. Good morning. Woo! I know we had to go through all our wonderful sponsors. You know, we have to do that. We have to, what they say in the olden days, we got to pay the bills, as they say. So we did that for a little bit, but it is Friday, and when I get really excited, well, I kind of always get excited, right? But when I really, really, really get excited, and I'll be like, okay, Barbara, calm down, breathe, do the usha, because today, you talking about queen of queens of royalty. OMG. I said, I need to get some like decorations or something. This lady that's about to come on that I'm about to introduce to you, about to just, we have to have a conversation. I hate to say interview. I like to have a conversation. We get to know, and we get to, what do you always say? Build a relationship with somebody. So we're going to have a conversation together. But I've been back and forth, and it's a lot on me. I'm gonna put it on me. I always tell you, if it's me, I'm gonna own it. And we started like communicating months ago. And what really threw me, because when I see women really doing and rocking it, I mean, just creating their empire, and they do it with such ease, and they're so humble. I'm drawn to that. I'm really drawn to that. And this lady, pastor, see, that's even better. She's come, we were talking on, I am, how you do on Facebook. And I was like, oh, I want to interview you. I want to, and she's like, oh, I seen you too, Barbara. We were back and forth. And then for a while, and that was me. And that's where I want to let people know, do not, please, I'm begging you, do not use the excuse of busy to get with people that are going to be awesome, maybe in your life, being as either a collaborator, as a guest on your show, because you might miss it, and you don't want to miss greatness. So I told myself, I said, okay, you know what? I got to make this right. I got to reintroduce myself, whatever I need to do. And we have her today, and I am just so on it. But I got to do, I got to do what I got to do first before we bring her on. We're going to calm down for a minute. I always give something positive, something to think about, during the day. And, I go from my wonderful book from another wonderful lady that I had on a while ago, Mary Ellen. And I want to put this up because I want people to really support her. It's called Taking Responsibility, Unleashing Time Healing. And she has 365 daily truths to guide you. She has these little passages that can help you along the way. And what I always like about her passages, at the end of each one, it says, enjoy your day. Each one, I just noticed that just 3 days ago. So this is talking about utilizing your skills and talents, utilizing all the unique. Now, when I start saying certain words loudly, you know what I mean. I want you to really, I'm emphasizing on that. Unique skills and talents you have been blessed with. You will make the most of your talents when you are not afraid to show them to the world. Many people hesitate before doing this because they have been taught it is a form of boastfulness. No, stop that. Pride. Do not deprive the world of something is desperately needing, and that's your gifts. And I'm always talking about that, about your gifts and talents. You and your talents. There is a great deal of satisfaction to be had when you use the skills you have been blessed with to fulfill and extend your ability to the world. Today, allow yourself to receive the recognition you so greatly deserve by utilizing your unique gifts and talents. And as I said, she always says at the end, enjoy your day. So I want people to understand that your gifts and your talents are so important, not only to you in your life, but to the world. You don't know who is waiting on you. That's something that you have that God has blessed you with to move mountains for others. And guess what? We're going to talk a little bit about that today with our wonderful queen, because we talk about our stories in our lives. And she's not only everything else, she's a publisher, she's a speaker, and she's a CEO of Elevate Your Stories. And I love that title of her company, because I want people to know, we're going to talk more about it. We need to elevate our stories so we can connect with each other, heal each other, and put it out there and say, hey, you are not alone. You are not alone. So we're going to start this thing because she's been waiting in that virtual green room, and we are going to get ready to rock. Let me do the intro for me, and then we're going to do intro for her, and then she's going to be on with me. Here we go. Yes, yes, yes. The queen is here. The queen is here.
Good morning, queen. How you doing?
Oh my God. You should never ask that question. How am I doing? I am first I'm gonna say I'm doing very blessed and very humbled right now to be in the presence with you. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Lady, I've been watching you. You know how people say, I've been a stalker, but in a good way?
Yeah.
Because you learn and you grow from people that are just out there doing their thing, and you are just hitting all platforms. I mean, and I mean, I think I just seen the other day where you were on a front page magazine, Miss Glamour, and then you said your age, and I was like, what? I mean, it stopped me from working that day. I mean, I literally stopped in my tracks like, did she just, what?
I did.
You look amazing. You are beautiful. See, you're giving me hope. So when I get, and I'm getting close, it's not that long and I won't be there. But I was like, yeah. Lady,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and for the kind words you said.
Yeah, I know we've been trying to hook up. Like I said, I owned it. We've been trying to hook up for a while, and especially with I know you do collaboration books, and I wanted to help you because one thing is, what I like to do is give visibility, especially to the women, and especially people that are like doing authors and speakers. So I know that was our first thing, but then I said, you know what? Before I do all that, wait a minute, I'm going straight to the office. Let's get to the main queen here. I mean, that has to come first before anything. So they can get to know you and, build a relationship together. So lady, I just want to, like I said, it's just a conversation today. And I always ask people before, just kind of, you can introduce yourself to the introduction. And then I want to get into what you're really all about too, which I love. And it's about stories. So just kind of introduce yourself to the audience first.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you, my sister, for having me on this morning. I'm really blessed to be able to come on your show and speak with your audience. I am Paulette Harper, also known as Pastor P. I am the book coach to nonfiction aspiring authors. I am a minister of the gospel and a speaker. I live in the beautiful Northern California in the San Francisco Bay Area. Yes. And I have been writing since 2008 and just really been called and commissioned by God to help people share their stories, in addition to just helping women, change the narrative from going from emotional trauma. That's my background. I was divorced and went through emotional trauma, and through that process of healing and deliverance and restoration, God began to just really deal with me about sharing my story. And that's how I got started writing my books, and then eventually just evolving and opening up the doors for other people to share their stories as well. I am the mom of two, the Mimi of four, and I'm just really excited about the opportunities and the doors that God has given me and connected me with great people such as yourself and others who helped me along this journey, because I can tell you, you cannot get here alone. It takes a tribe. It takes a village to work together and collaborate so that we all are, doing what our purpose is, for us to do in the earth. So I'm real excited about being here and speaking with you and getting to know you as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I feel like, with us not really like talking and introducing just through I am, but just watching what you do and the interviews that you've done and being on the podcast and, the speaking platforms you've been on and doing all your collaboration books. I'm like, shoot, I already took a tally. I kind of know this lady already. Just get myself together. And I always tell people, look for the people that you're trying to either, you're going to have those people that's on your same little lane. Then you look for those people that's a little bit higher up there, because you're trying to always push to that next level. And I see me seeing you with that. I see you pushing me. You're helping me push me and think about different things to do, because, you're just amazing. I mean, and then you're so humble and you're so nice, but you're strong, and that's what I love. It's like you don't have to be, I tell people, especially women, I said, you don't have to be this, you can be that when it needs to be, because you need to people need to listen to you and respect you. But then you can be that humble spirit, because that's when it draws the people, and that's how you help people. So you were talking about the stories, and that's one thing I wanted you to get a little bit into, if you want to tell your story, because like you said, connection, and then how you got to this point.
Yeah, definitely. So I was married to a pastor for 23 years, and we ended up going through a divorce, and it really tore me. Just really broke me down, and was facing some emotional trauma. And with that emotional trauma, it was dealing with depression, rejection, abandonment issues, all those emotions that I was so unfamiliar with, because I had never experienced those things before. But the trauma of going through the divorce sent me on this tailspin where I had to, find myself. And I married him when I was in my, right after high school. But we had met when I was 16. So this was somebody that I had known practically all of my life. And so, when you have something like that and it's broken, your life and your emotions just go, untapped. They go into places that you have just never experienced before. And that was my case. So with that, I began to write my story only because I just felt so inclined to share what I was going through as a woman of God, as a pastor's wife, because I just felt that there were so many other women who were being silenced, especially in the church. And so I began to just chronicle that period of my life and talk about, what I was going through, my trauma, the emotional breakdown that I was having as a human, as a woman, and what that meant and what that looked like for me, and then what wholeness looked like for me. And so I went through this process and started writing my story. And that's where my first book was birthed. That was then This Is Now, This Broken Vessel Restored. And so, it wasn't me, waking up one day and saying, hey, I'm going to be an author. I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to, I just really want to, write words and, share stories. It wasn't like that. It was the trauma that really pushed that out of me. And a lot of times we have gifts and talents that are so dormant, we don't even know that we have, unless or until we are, our backs are up against the wall. We go through pain and hardship and emotional setbacks that really push quality and push purpose out of us. And that's really what it was about. And so I began to just really share my story. And I saw that there were other people who had stories to share, but they didn't know how to do it. And at that time, I didn't call myself no expert. I just was writing a book, And so, God has he put me in a place where there was other people that I was surrounded by, other people that wanted to write stories, but they just didn't know how. And then they began to ask me, how do you publish? How do you write your book? And so from there, it went from the workshops to coaching to anthologies. And so it just began to evolve. And from that one book. And that's why it's so important for us to get that one story out, because our stories matters. Our words are so powerful. They come to empower other people who are going through the same things that maybe we are going through. And, our words carry weight because people want to be able to identify with us based on the experiences that we've gone through. And, if I had never gone through emotional trauma, divorce, from, being married to a pastor, then, I wouldn't be able to minister and really reach that audience. And so I'm just really blessed to be able in the position to really have a platform that I can help other people write their stories as well.
Yes. Oh, and it's so, Pastor, it's so important to get those stories out there, because you never know, like you said, who you're touching, who's connected. Like right now, when you were telling your story, I'm thinking we're connected already in that area, because now you've been through, the journey and the trauma with you and your husband, and now you're divorced. I'm starting that.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, Monday, I have to go to court for the first, the first ties of it. And we've been married for 21 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And
so we have a lot in common.
Yeah. And he's a minister. So, and I'm glad that you said that, because, and I don't know if you felt this way too, Pastor, where, it's one thing to be married just to, you're married, but it's a little different when you're married to somebody that's in the faith and that's in the church. And basically they're telling everybody else they're kind of okay. They're praying for them. They're with them. They're even ministering to other maybe couples or whatever. But then behind closed doors, your own marriage is falling apart little by little by little.
Yeah, I can totally agree with you on that. And I feel you on that, because that's really where I was, because, we were pastors in a small community, but people knew us, And so, being that people knew us, it was, when we, got divorced or even separated, it was, me feeling so condemning myself, because here we were, just like you said, we were praying for so many other people. We were believing for, others in our congregation and bringing hope and empowering others to walk this journey, to walk this faith. And here now we are ending our marriage, and so it is a lot of internal battles and struggles that we go through as women of faith, because it's almost as though, wait, we saw it work in other people, we saw the prayers work in other people, but here, this is what we are facing, this is our life, this is the lot we're living right now, and so I definitely just would encourage you to just totally find strength in the Lord in this journey, and know that your latter days are going to be better and exceed the former. And so there are so many blessings that God has for you and anyone that's in this place, because I've been there. I know the struggle. I know the heartbreak and the disappointment, but I also know God. I know that God causes all things to work together for our good. It doesn't feel good at the moment, but at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, God has a perfect plan for all of us. And we just have to follow that plan and trust Him in the process.
Well, thank you, Pastor. I really appreciate that. And I know, I what I do, because I love doing what I do with interviewing ladies like you, just having this show. And then, I help other business women with social media and all that stuff, just visibility in general. And I told myself, I said, I'm not going to let this knock me from that, because like I was saying earlier about our gifts and our talents, that we can't let them go to the side because of what things are going on. You got to keep moving no matter how rough it is, because you don't know whose other life you're saving. See, you're saving, you save, and you're going to be saving still a lot of lives just through people walking through their stories and putting it on paper and pen. It takes a lot. It's one thing to say, "Hey, Pastor, I want to put a chapter in the book." It's another thing to really sit down and get through that. So I was going to ask you, do you have certain ways that you, like minister or kind of train the authors that come your way?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I absolutely love to do. And that's the coaching side of me. That's the teaching part of what I do. And so when I'm doing one-on-one coaching, group coaching, or even my anthologies that I've been doing lately, I take the time out to really coach my authors. And that is going through the process of really how to identify your story that you want to write, especially when you're doing a collaboration, because we have so many experiences in life, so many lessons that we've learned, and so many things that we want to talk about, so many ups and downs in life. And so which story is it that you want to write in this chapter, because you're limited to the words. Okay. So my chapters are 1,500 words. And so what story do you want to write you feel that's going to resonate with your readers? And so I take them through this process of identifying their story and getting clarity on the story that they want to write. That one story, not a ton of stories, but that one story, because we want to look at, trying to reach one reader, And so once they get clarity on what it is that they want to write, then I take them through the process of what that story is going to look like. How can you, do the introduction and introduce your story to the reader, and your introductions really should be the attention grabber. It should pull the reader in, because those are the few moments we have to get them captured so that they want to read the remaining portion of our chapter, and even in our whole book. So I take them through that process. So it's an introduction. And what does that look like? Because your introduction really should tell the readers what your chapter is about. And then the middle is your experiences, the lessons that you learn, what happened to you in that transformation. Because at the end of the day, God wants us to be really changed by the experiences that we've gone through in life, from being stuck to getting unstuck, from hopelessness to hope, from having no faith to faith, from being unresolved to somebody who is a resolved person and someone who is just really pressing and fulfilling purpose. And then the last portion of your chapter really should be the wins for your reader. What is it that you can share with your readers that's going to change them and help them in that same process, And so that's where the transition comes. That's when we start talking to the reader. Well, have you ever? How are you handling this? Because now we want to connect with them. We want to invite them into our chapter, into our story, and talk to them and ask them what maybe you've experienced the same thing that I've experienced. How can, these are the steps that I took. Try these steps, whether it's affirmation, it could be scriptures, it could be counseling, it could be therapy, it could be just, changing your diet. It could be a gamut of things that we can share. But at the end of the day, it's really about our readers, and we want the readers to have a solution. We want them to I want my authors to give them a win. Show them how they can win in their life, because we're winning in ours. We want them to win in theirs as well. And that's the steps in the process that I take. And I absolutely love coaching, because I know that a lot of authors that I've been working with are first-time authors. So they don't know. And I remember being a first-time author. And so I really, I help them get through that piece so that they at least know that this is how they can structure their chapter, and that they can see that, they can do it. They can write this story, and it's not as difficult as they, maybe had felt it could have been on their own.
Yeah, I love how you walk them through that process, because a lot of times I know I've been in a few collaboration books, and some of the publishers, the people that I've signed up with, it was just like, okay, write your story. Okay, I published it. Okay, there you go. Here's your book. Bye. And I'm like, okay, did I do it right? Did I structure it right? Was I okay? All those questions were hitting. And I was like, okay, this is, But then, I guess some publishers that did how you do, you coach as you're publishing. And I think that is that's like that special talent, I think, that you do as a publisher and author, and just being over your company like that, because like you said, you're dealing with new authors. They don't know where to start. They're probably still nervous the fact that I got to tell my story. Oh my God. I don't know if I can do this. It's kind of that, you're going through this emotional roller coaster in a sense. Yeah. I know when I first wrote my first chapter of the collaboration, but it was about my dad. And he passed away when I was 17, but he was murdered. So, and it's been since, I'm in my 50s now. So that was 17. So I'm thinking, I'm okay. I can tell the story, in my mind, I say, okay, I can do this. I can type it out, do 2,000 words, like you said. And I'm telling you, Pastor, I started getting into it because I had to go back. I had to go back. And I was like, I thought I was okay. I thought I was kind of okay with this. And come to find out, it took me, and I probably needed that again to kind of cleanse myself. But I thought I was good. So I can just imagine how many authors that come to you, and the stories that you're hearing that they're saying, and they're probably having to go through some, those that little,
No, and you're right, especially when we're writing those stories of, those nonfiction stories, those true stories, the true encounters, you have to go back to that place that's really uncomfortable. It's that place, because you're dealing with now, it's almost as though you are unearthing once again Pandora's box, to those emotions that you thought you had dealt with, but it's not until you start writing what had happened, and then the process of, the experience that you've gone through, and you begin to feel again, you get reconnected with those emotions that you thought you were done with, or that you got over, or you were healed from, and so for some people, that's very hard to do, you know. But when you think about when you can write through it, and then you can go back and sit and read it, and you can think about, oh my God, look at the growth. Look at where I've come from. You know, and I think that's the amazing thing about writing our stories, because once we get through the story itself and we get through the emotions that the story is carrying for us and the reader, and we sit back and we read it ourselves and we think about where we are today, that we're not at that place anymore. You know, that we really have been healed. We really have been treated, you know, by either therapy or just time, or, you know, just being, you know, talking to people, or, you know, ministry, church, pastors, whatever it is, counseling, that we have been really, you know, made whole. And it's such therapy for us to write these stories, because a lot of us can't find hope and healing in you know, other places, but we sure can find it when we write our stories. And that's why it's so important for us to be able to write it down, to journal it, even if you don't want to publish it, but just to journal it, to write it down, because these are things that you're feeling, and you want to share it, and you want to release it. You know, rather you're just releasing it to yourself as you're writing in your journal, in your diary, or you're writing it so the whole world can read it. And so, but it's just a matter of making sure that we share it, we articulate it, because we want to get out of that dark place, because we want to be whole. You know, we want to get through the emotional trauma that we've gone through, and it comes with just really being able to articulate the emotions and the experiences that we've gone through.
Yes, and I love it. Like you said, it's a healing factor, and the thing is that, you know, you're doing it. You're kind of cleansing yourself, like you said. You're cleansing yourself. You're putting it out there. You're kind of seeing some things that might need to be refocused in your life, and then you look at, okay, well, okay, all that happened, but look at where I am now.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's the amazing stories. You know, because I know when I wrote my first book, and I, you know, I went back and I read my manuscript, and I went through that process all over again. It went in my emotions, but in my mind. But I look back and I said, wow, look at my growth. Look at where I am. Look at what God has done in my life. And I'm not at that place anymore. And it was a dark place for me. You know, I mean, I didn't even want to live back then, you know? And so I'm talking about, you know, wanting to end my life, wanting to deal, you know, suicidal and whatnot, you know, and just walking through that and writing it, and then reading it and thinking, oh my God, look at what God has done and where I am, and my spiritual growth, my emotional growth, how I went from wanting to end my life to, you know, really fighting for my life and really living my life, and then helping other people do the same. That's a transformation that you can't even put a price tag on. That's the transformation that God wants us to have in every experiences. Those are the changes that are so possible for us when we trust Him in the process, no matter how difficult it is. But, you know, you read back where you've been, what you've come through, and where you are, and you look and you say, oh, thank you, Jesus, I got through it, you know. And it is just so amazing to see when the hand of God is on your life. And how He can just take the dark seasons and periods of your life and just really add light to it. At the end of the day, it is really about letting Him just orchestrate your life and take you through those valleys, those terrains that are so uncomfortable, you know, those bumps in the roads, those flat tires that we have in life, and just really allow Him to get us to a place where we can look back and say, if it had not been for the Lord on my side, where would I have been? You know, so I just pray that for anybody that is there and, you know, struggling with writing their story because of that dark place that they may not want to go back to, you know, because it's very dark, because it's very uncomfortable. But I can tell you this, that once you go through it and you write it, and you may not want to share it with the world, but the thing about it is you want to share it with, and you want to release it so that it's not holding you bondage anymore. It's not holding you captive anymore, because there's so much power in the released word that we, give to ourselves, and we allow ourselves the freedom. Yes. We allow ourselves the freedom to feel it, but not allow ourselves the opportunity for those emotions to keep us held bondage, because we want to live in a life of freedom and purpose. And God allows us to do that by writing our words, writing our stories.
Ooh, I'm loving it. Yes. When you said, that just hit some heartstrings when you were speaking. Then when you said freedom, so don't be in bondage from your past, from the things that you went through. I always tell people your stories are not there to put you in bondage. And a lot of times, you know how you hear this whole saying, I don't want to be a victim of my stories. I don't want to, just dwell in there. I mean, a lot of people could stay in their stories, and some do, unfortunately, thinking that's their life. But I love how you put it, Pastor, where you said, this is a freedom. It's a breakout from what you went through. It's just a part of your journey.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And to what you said about, we have a choice in life. We can either, allow what has happened to really springboard us to fulfill purpose and use it as a stepping stone, or we can still stay there. And because life is going to move on, time is going to pass us by, we're going to still be, every day, a day is going to come, 365 days is going to eventually just keep passing us by, and the years are going to keep passing us up. So we either stay in that place, we stay in that same address, or we allow what has happened to really push us and propel us to find purpose, propel us to start businesses, propel us to write our books, propel us to be on different stages. We can use those experiences to really catapult us and push us forward. And so that's what I decided to do. I mean, but it was difficult to even make that decision. But once I got clarity on why God allowed me to go through it, and then I believe that he didn't allow me to go through it because he just wanted to teach me some lessons. No, Lord, you let me go through this because there is something more I need to do in life, not just for Paulette, but for other women, for other people. And so I just believe that you didn't allow me. It was in vain. No, nothing that we experience in life is ever in vain. There is nothing that we go through will ever be wasted. No tear will ever be wasted. There is always a purpose for everything we face in life. And so for me, it was just starting to write, saying yes to God, that, okay, I'm going to write my story no matter how ugly it is. I'm going to write about my spiritual battles. I'm going to write about everything that I've gone through during this period, because I'm not at that place no more. I've been healed from it. And I want to share that part of the story. But the thing about it is, I can't get to tell you about my healing if I don't tell you about my ugly pieces. If I don't tell you about how broken I was. If I don't tell you about my scars, if I don't tell you I've been dropped so many times, if I don't tell you about my disappointments in life, because what's going to bring the reader to have a connection with me is those dark places. It's those places where I wasn't perfect. It's those places where I'm still flawed. It's those places where I still, God's still working on me. He's still, I'm still on the potter's wheel. He's still shaping me, but I can't tell you about how whole I am, how healed I am, how delivered I have become if I don't tell you about my struggle. Yes. People want to know the struggle. They want to know and we have to be authentic with them, And so at the end of it, I went through that, but look at where I am right now. But I had to go through all that ugliness. I had to go through that divorce. I had to go through all that disappointment. I had to share all those tears. I had to go through that. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, it's this masterpiece that God wants to make with all of us. And the potter can only do that when we have been broken, we have been squashed, we've been healed, or we've been marred, and so we on that potter's wheel. And when the potter is shaping us and molding us, and if it doesn't look right, what does the potter do? Let me start all over again, and that's so painful. It is. But knowing that we're in the hand of the great potter, and that the best is so yet to come, and that he knows what is so best for us. And he already sees us as this living vessel, this beautiful trophy that people can see and they can identify with us because of what we've gone through in life. But more importantly, where we are, that we're not at that same place anymore, and that they can see that the hand of the Lord has been really on us to share our authentic story and then share who we are with the world so that people can identify with us.
Yes. Ooh. Sometimes I tell people, just take that pause, listen to this talent and this skillful pastor. Oh my God. Oh, so much, so much. Well, before we get into, I want to ask you some more questions. I have to go to our sponsors real quickly. Right back. We are back, and if you're just kind of coming in, you missed it. I'm just gonna let people know they missed a whole lot of stuff. But this is the Gentleman's Factor Experience show with Barbara Beckley, and with our special royalty in the house, queen in the house, just an awesome, amazing lady, Pastor Paulette Harper. So, Pastor, I just want to ask you, and I kind of maybe figure where the title of your company came from, but I want you to tell the story of that.
Elevate your story. When we think about our stories and what it is, how we want to write it, how we want to share it, elevate really is just, to really just to uplift, and to, bring our stories to a better position, and so there is no story that we've written or that any experience that we've gone through that we need to be ashamed of, And so when we elevate our story, it's really speaking it out loud. It's letting the whole world know about our story, the good, the bad, all the junk, all the messiness of it, And so I wanted to create an opportunity for people to be able to do that, to just really take the horn, and announce my story to the world, no matter what it looks like, no matter how it sounds to you. This is my story. This is my truth. And so in elevating our story, it's really about just really speaking it, proclaiming it, and as loud as we possibly can, because there's so many stories that we need to write, and there's so many people that need to hear what we have to say. And the only way we can do it is just really speak it. And just and do that. And so with Elevate Your Stories, there's many components to that and things that I do to help authors do that, whether it's one-on-one coaching, group coaching, or with, my anthologies as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always, somebody told me a long time ago, and I don't know if they got it from sometimes I'd be like, was that your quote, or did you get that quote from somebody else? You just didn't give them the credit. But they told me when I first was starting out to think about even putting, my story to pen to paper. And I was a little nervous because, like you said, at the beginning, your first time, and I'm not a writer. See, I said, I don't even know how I got in some books because I do not write. I don't like to edit. I'm so glad that there's editors in the world.
Yeah.
Because Barbara needs it badly.
Me too.
All right. Well, Pastor, I read over this stuff. I said, now you need to make sure. I even tell them, I said, you need to make sure this goes to the editor, and they need to do like a second, third, and fifth, fourth, and fifth. Because it's just not going to make any kind of sense if you just get it raw with me with the draft. But they told me, they said, Barbara, if you don't tell your story, somebody else will, and they're not going to say it in the right manner.
Yeah, that's good.
And I was like, ooh.
That's good.
That was good. Yeah. When they told me that, because I was like on the fence, and I was, and they said, no, you want to tell yours. And I'm telling you, Pastor, that's been staying with me ever since I heard that.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is so true, because, especially if your story, involves, other people, and there's two sides to every story. There's yours, and then, well, I should say three. Jesus, because he knows both. Okay. So yours, theirs, and then of course the Lord knows. Okay. And so, because that's your truth. It doesn't matter if people agree with your truth or not. That's your truth, and you live in that. This is my experience. This is what I went through, and nobody can take away my experience. And I want to write about that, and that's my story. That and it's the same. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's my story. You write about how your experience was, and I'm going to do the same. And you can't change that, because that's what I experienced. That's what I went through. That's my truth. And so when you can just really own your truth, no matter what it is, and walk in your truth, walk in your you being authentic in it, and that's where the real change comes, because you're now identifying with what was true in your life, no matter how painful it was, and then being able to write about it. So yeah, you want to write your story based on what you've gone through, and you never let somebody else hold the pen. That's what I want to say. You never let someone else hold the pen to your story. You write your own story, use your own pen, and you write your own experiences, because those are your truths.
Ooh, you just added some spark to that quote that they gave me. Dude, what I just said was just a small. You just add the whole. Yeah, I love it. Woo, don't let nobody else hold your pen to your story. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I was thinking too when you was talking, Pastor, is that not only, you need to tell your story, good, bad and ugly, as we say, as I always say, but no one can't tell, just to add, the transformation that happened in your story. See, they can think about, okay, well, the reason why you went through this bar because this happened. I said, no, you got that wrong. That wasn't the transformation that I'm talking about. See, so that's why you can't let nobody, because they don't know what transformation happened in your life. They can guess.
Yeah.
They can, maybe think about it and say, well, did that happen or whatever? But no, they weren't you. So that's why you, like you said, and like the person that told me, that you have to tell your story, because you'll get it right. Because it happened to you. And wow.
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct about the transformation, because they can see it. They can see the transformation now, but you have to get to that place. And so, when you're writing what your story is about, and the experiences that have happened to you, it's, at the end of the day, it's all about what became of you after that.
Yeah.
What happened to you in that process? Are you better now? Are you healed now? Or do you, have you created organizations now? Do you have programs now to help other people? Because no matter what your story is, and my story, I went through a divorce. So many people have done that, and such as yourself going through it.
Yeah.
But my experiences are different. And that's the thing, My experiences and my journey that I took to get to where I am was all different. And that's the part about our stories that we want to share with people, that, there is so many people out there, millions and millions of people who are going through the similar things that we're going through, and we can reach somebody with our experience. And that's really what it's about. And that's why we can't hold our story in. We have to really unmute ourselves and allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to allow ourselves to share and talk about our experience, because there is no shame in what we've gone through in life. Absolutely no shame. But the enemy would try to embarrass us and make us feel like we should be ashamed of what we've gone through. And we don't want nobody to know that I did this and I did that. Well, God knows it. God knows it. Okay. And so if we can share it and just own that and just say, you know what, the heck with it, I'm going to share it. It doesn't matter what people say or think about me. Look at where I am right now. You cannot take that away from me, So it's about just really opening up your mouth and saying, you know what, this is the truth about me. This is what I did. Let me tell on myself first. Let me tell on myself first. Before anybody else, let me tell on Paulette. Okay.
I said, you're not going to do it. I'll do it.
I'll do it. Let me tell on myself first. So you ain't got to. Okay. And just, I did that. I did that. But look at where I am. I did it. Guilty.
I love it. Yeah, because people are really fast to say, well, you, Barbara, you know what? It's out there in a book. So I'm not, I already told it. So if you want to use it as a weapon, you can, because it's all through a whole bunch of books right now.
Yes.
So yeah, I owned it already. Like you said, I did it. I'm guilty. I love that.
Yeah.
But see, and I just love how, by doing that, like you said earlier, and then I want you to, give any last thoughts, that it's the freedom from it. And like you said, there's no bondage, not even like, I know we laugh about, I'm guilty and everything, but even with that, you feel freedom because you told it. It's like, I made a mistake. I tell people in a heartbeat, I made plenty of, and gonna make more.
Yeah.
But I learned if we learn and grow from it. See, that's the whole thing. Like you said earlier, Pastor, if something happened, you went through it, you learned from it, you say to yourself, okay, what do I need to adjust or whatever has to happen, or let go or whatever, it happened. And then you move forward. And then on top of that, say, what I want to tell somebody else, because they might went through what this crazy stuff that I just dealt with. Yeah. And, and they're like, oh, okay, you went through that? What? So how that goes. It's like, oh my God, I've been dealing with this. They said, well, I didn't even thought of that. I said, oh, you're looking at this? No, I went through so it's good because people be like, whew, I thought I was the only one. You know how you hear that all the time. And I'm like, no. I mean, there's probably like groups and groups I tell people of, women or men that had the same story. But it's just owning it, having it, learning from it, go through it, tell somebody else, help the world, help it heal. See, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
So Pastor, I want to put up so they can get to you, because believe me, after this, they need to talk to you. So any last words that you want to tell the audience that's listening right now?
Elevate your story. Don't be ashamed of what you've experienced in life. There is so much more that God has for all of us. And there is another chapter that you can write. You change that narrative and you allow your experiences to really propel you to purpose, propel you to be creative, propel you to dig deep and tap into your your purpose in life, your creativity, and just watch what God does in your life. And thank you, my sister, for having me on your platform. It has been an amazing experience. I love you dearly for, just saying yes. yeah. Love.
And it's pumping for you. It's pumping for you.
So I do appreciate it, and you definitely in my prayers for the journey ahead. But you know what? It's going to work together for your good.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that. You just don't know. I appreciate that from you, Pastor. And, just like I said, whatever you do, even through the darkness, shine that light in you, no matter how it might be dim a little bit, but it's still there. It's still there. And we just got to keep shining it. And I feel like if you could help others, to me, that light is brighter, that light is much brighter because you're not thinking of yourself anymore. It's like, I'm not going all into me. I want to make sure I can help. So, definitely we need to talk. Now, this time we're going to talk. I want to make sure that because we can bring your authors on and we need to let people know about, what they're doing and their lights are shining.
Yes, they would love that opportunity. I definitely will connect with you on that.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for getting up so early this morning. I know when you said, I said, oh my gosh, she's in California. Ooh, I know it's early.
It is. I'm going to go have me some coffee.
Okay, yeah, you do that, lady. And Queen, thank you again so much. And we will talk. And everybody, please, again, I'm going to keep this on as we go to our next sponsor to please contact this wonderful, brilliant queen. And I mean, she will help you get through whatever struggles within your story to get it on pen and paper so you can just heal and help the world through what your stories are. So thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
I'm hanging on your every word, the love inside, I feel it burn. I've never felt this way before. I've had a taste, now I want more. So here we are, just you and me. I'm overwhelmed when you touch me. You talk so sweet, I hear the sound, 'cause when you do, my feet won't touch the ground.
Wow, and wow. That's all I have to say. It was funny, Pastor said she gonna get us some coffee, and I totally understand because she's 2 hours, I think it's 2 hours behind me. So first of all, I just gotta thank her for that, for getting up just for me. Oh, I'm like a little kid in the candy store. That was so sweet of you to come on this show and talk, especially, we did for almost an hour. I know she's like, okay, Barbara, get me wrapped this up because it is early. But see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying about the humbleness and the kindness that she has, that she came on. She walked us through. She basically coached us, okay? Something that she charges for. So that's why I want you to really respect that. And I say this all the time. Respect it. See what is a need. Now, if you feel like, well, Barbara, I don't really need, that type of coach, or I don't need to put a story in the paper. You know what? Nobody's pushing you. Nobody's pressuring you. But I'm going to ask you, if you know somebody that does want to do that, reach out to Pastor Paulette Harper, because she will not only just put your story in a book, she will help you and guide you, as you heard, through it. So I bring on people so you can get those skills, awareness, and the education. And you see, she educated us today. So that we build that relationship. Now it's time for you to take some action. Okay? Take some action, reach out to her. And I just it's funny, we were talking when we were doing the interview, we were talking about, your skills and your story and learning lessons from it. And I just thought about it. What I talked about when I first started the show, it kind of dwelled into that. So I want to read that again to take something that you can take through the weekend. We'll be back on Monday, same time, same station. But always, always never feel embarrassed about who you are. Never feel embarrassed, because your uniqueness is greatness for others. Your uniqueness, your talents, your skills our greatness for others. I always talk about everybody has a different fingerprint. You know that? Everybody. No one has the same one. Isn't that awesome? All billion of people in the world, and we all have a different fingerprint. That makes us unique. So I want you to use that example to say we all have different talents and gifts. You know, you might say, well, she does the same thing I do, but she can do it a different way than you do it. And you can do it a different way she does it. And you will bring the people that's coming to you, and she'll bring the people that's coming to them. I'm using she because you don't have to work with women, but man, I love you. You know you're out. You know I'm thinking about you too. But I'm just saying as an example that don't think that you're just here. I hate when people say, well, I'm just here. I'm just living here. You just didn't plop in the world. No, you were born for a reason. You were born to take on, to be an influence to someone in the world that needs you. So let's read it. Utilizing all your unique skills and talents you have been blessed with. You've been blessed. Blessed. You will make the most of your talents when you are not afraid, not fearful. Don't neglect them to show them to what? The world. Many people hesitate before doing that because they have been taught, and that's we got to unteach that if that's being taught a lot. Doing that because of form of boastfulness. You know, that's why every time I have somebody come on this show, I know I'm getting away from this, Lord, is I always say how amazing, wonderful, incredible they are, because affirmations are so important in your life. Not just putting them in you every day, because you should be doing them every day, morning, night, day. And especially if you really need. I tell people, he's like, well, how many times should I do affirmations, Barbara? All the time. All day if you have to, in your sleep. And you should be telling yourself how wonderful, amazing, and talented, and, God gave you, the strength and everything, because there's going to be so much of the opposite that's going to come your way. And you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. So it's not boastfulness. It's telling who you are. And you have to believe in it. I can tell somebody all day they're awesome, but if they don't believe in themselves, it doesn't matter. That's why we have to have it here, not just here. So pride. Do not deprive the world of something is desperately needing from you. You and your talents. There is a great deal of satisfaction to be had when you use the skills you have been blessed with to fulfill the extent of your ability. It stretches your ability. It brings you to, I'm telling you, people, places that you didn't even think that you would even obtain, because you're using your skills, because you're listening and helping others. That's what happens. So today, allow yourself to receive the recognition you so greatly deserve. Like she always says at the end, enjoy your day. I love that. So be bold. Be who you are. Understand your skills. Don't, like you said, own it. And if something like Pastor said, I was so clear when she said that, because I agree with that too. Own it. Yeah, I'm guilty. Yeah, I messed up. Okay. Now let's move forward. Either I fix it, I learn from it, or I'm going to say, you know what, I forgive me. And then you keep moving. You keep moving. Don't stay stagnant. Don't live in that. Move forward. And whatever you do, if you're thinking about it, go to the next level of that. Put it on paper with a pen so you can help so many others. Leave a legacy of what you dealt with and the transformation that happened to you, because you don't know how many other transformations that could happen for others. So with that, I want to wish you so much, so much blessings this weekend. And we'll be here same time, same station on Monday, 8:00 Central Time. We will have Mr. Marty talking about sales and marketing, and probably another special guest. And I'm not going to tell you because it wouldn't be special and you wouldn't be surprised. So with that, talk to you. Remember, you have a diamond in you. I still have her contact information down here. There's a reason for it. And we will see you on Monday. Bye.